Alright guys, so now we're going to create our own custom component because we've just been working in the main app component up to this point. So let's go into our file structure here, and in the source folder you're going to want to create a new folder called components. Let me spell that right, components. And we're going to create a file inside this folder, and we're going to call this contact with a capital C.js. Okay, you want to start your component file names with a capital letter. So to create a component, we're basically going to mimic what we did, or what Create React App did for the app component. We want to bring in this stuff and we want to create a class. Now, in the beginning of this course, we installed a component called, it's a long name, ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native Snippets. And if we take a look at the documentation for that, and we go down to, let's see, where is it? React Components, we can generate a class-based component with RCC, which will look like this. Okay, you can also do functional components as well. So let's go ahead and use this. So if I go over here and I say RCC tab, it's going to generate this for us. So this looks very similar to the app component, right? The only difference here is that they're exporting it here instead of down at the bottom. Okay, notice in the app file they're doing export default app, and here they're just exporting the class directly. Now I don't really like this syntax, so when I use the RCC tab, I usually just grab the export default, put it down here, and then export the name of the component, which in this case is contact. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Now in this component, what I want to have is basically just a div, which is there by default, and then we're going to put in an H4 with a name. So we'll say John Doe, and let's put in a UL, and then we're going to have a couple LIs. So I'll use Emmet, I'll say LI times 2. And the first one is going to be email, and we'll say jdoe@gmail.com. And in this one we want a phone number, so we're going to say 555, just all fives. All right. So this is our user component. It's nothing special, and it's just hard-coded data for now. Don't worry about that. We're going to get to state and stuff like that later. But let's go ahead and save this. All right, now in order to display this in our application, we need to bring it into the main app component. Okay, remember I said this is like the meeting place for all of our components and pretty much everything. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go right here and let's do import, and we want to import contact. Okay, and remember we exported as default, so that means that we don't put the curly braces around it, okay, since it's default. So we want to import contact from, and then we want to go into the components folder, so /components, and then /contact. And in VS Code we get the little cool drop down. So we brought that in, and then we can use that down here in the render. So right under the H1 here, I'm just going to put in contact, okay, just like that, and save. And there it is. There's our contact component. Now you can put as many of these as you want. If I were to put like 2 more and save, it's going to render 3 contact components. And if we look in our React tools down here, let's go into the main app component, and let me see, can I make this smaller? No. Okay, let's bring it up. And you can see that we have 3 contact components, and you can see the content inside. Okay, no props or anything like that yet. We're going to get into that later. But any component you create and display, it's going to show down here in your React tools. Okay, I only want 1 of these though, so we're going to get rid of those 2. And there we go. So you've officially created your first React component. Okay, it's absolutely nothing special, but it is in fact a component. Now in the next video, I want to show you how to create a functional component, because up to this point we've just been looking at classes. We can also use functions as components as long as we don't plan on using any state within them. All right, so we're going to get into that in the next video.